What up, folk? What it do? Let's see how that thing gonna go today. You see the title. Yeah, it's Masters Week. Shaking my head. White ain't a race. Who are these real master/white people? We gonna dig into it, but little incident happened about a day ago. Young lady going to her job, and a so-called white person had something to say. I guess they was exchanging words, but he ended up saying, fat N-word. Okay, well, we don't know what all really happened, but these days of social media, people gonna do what they do and record, and hey, I don't know how to edit, so I don't know how much that video is edited, but it's something, man. It is something because it is the talk of the town. So like I told my folks at work, man, it's like the only week white people really, really, really get to show out as if they done created something spectacular that nobody else can have. Hell, the Masters wasn't even important until Tiger showed up. Ain't nobody even thinking about it. Yeah, a few people go up there and work. Go out there, get a job at the Masters. Okay, yeah. All right, it is what it is. What that? Tiger won that first tournament in '95, man. He set the city on fire with that. They like, oh my God. Golf ain't just for these so-called white people. No, it ain't. From what I know, shoot, and they ain't even invent golf. Yeah. But I get down to it about, this so-called white superiority complex, this black superiority, these little mind games people playing with folks, people switching sides, jumping fences and stuff. But when it come down to it, I got me some good, white people on my team, and I have to correct them sometimes because they don't understand. It's a whole lot of history folks ain't gonna talk about. They ain't gonna tell you that the Civil War was to free the white people. It wasn't nothing about freeing no Negro per se. It was about freeing slaves. And from what we gonna learn tonight, the slaves consisted of everybody. It wasn't no such thing as no complexion for the protection. It was all about who you know, what connection you got. You needed a connection for the protection. But some kind of way, it got twisted up and turned into skin color. And you got all these foreigners coming over here, and they get the status. And now they acting like they brand new. I don't really see nobody leaving America when they get here. But it's either here nor there. We're going to break this down real quick.
The history of slavery is a complex and difficult topic, spanning thousands of years and many different cultures and societies. Slavery has taken many different forms throughout history, including debt slavery, chattel slavery, serfdom, and indentured servitude. It has left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness, shaping the way we view ourselves and our world. From ancient civilizations to modern times, the practice of enslaving others has persisted, often fueled by greed, power, and a misguided sense of superiority. The history of slavery is a complex and multifaceted story, spanning thousands of years and encompassing a wide variety of cultures and societies. Good day! Welcome back to History in Minutes. Today, we'll be answering a very intriguing question. Were the Irish the first slaves in America? The start of the Irish's journey to the Americas started at the end of the Battle of Kinsale in 1601. The English took approximately 30,000 military prisoners and began a policy of banishment or transportation. This policy was later expanded by James I, who encouraged the sale of Irish prisoners as slaves to planters and settlers in the New World colonies. The first recorded sale of Irish slaves occurred in 1612 to a settlement on the Amazon River. In 1625, an official proclamation was issued ordering the rounding up and the selling of Irish prisoners as slaves to English planters. From 1629 to 1632, a significant number of Irish men and women were sent to Guyana, Antigua, and Montserrat. By 1637, approximately 69% of the population of Montserrat consisted of Irish slaves. Unlike the purchase of African slaves, who were typically sold for 20 to 50 pounds sterling, Irish slaves were captured and sold for 900 pounds of cotton, making them a more lucrative source of labor for English slave traders. The Irish quickly became the largest source of slaves for English slave traders, with many being forcibly taken from their homes and their families to work in harsh conditions on plantations in the New World. The practice of enslaving Irish people was brutal and exploitive, and their status as property denied them even basic human rights.
Who are they showing pictures of? Because they're talking specifically about Irish people. Now, if you're telling me these Irish folks, because ain't no point of when they usually show all these pictures, they be showing, hey, these are African people. They all be dark skinned now. But we don't get to that part. But you notice how the dudes say Irish slaves were cheaper than African slaves. So what's the point of me finna take this 3 to 6 month boat ride? First off, I gotta take the boat from England, ride all the way here to Africa, which is gonna take me about a good 3 to 6 weeks. Then I gotta ride all the way over to the Caribbean, North America. Man, they're gonna take me about 3 months, 4 months. When I can just grab these people right here next to the island by me. They go ahead and take their ride. Hey, all right, ride with it.
Beginning in 1649, Oliver Cromwell launched a campaign of terror in Ireland, which resulted in the transportation and the sale of all captured soldiers as slaves. A few months later, in 1650, 25,000 Irish were sold to planters in St. Kitts. During the 1650s, over 100,000 Irish children between the ages of 10 and 14 were taken from their families and sold as slaves in the West Indies, Virginia.
I ain't got nothing to say.
And New England. Shockingly, more Irish were sold as slaves to the American colonies from 1651 to 1660 than the total free population of the Americas at that time. Cromwell's policy of enslaving the Irish continued, with the infamous To Hell or to Connacht proclamation in 1654 confiscating all Irish-held lands and relocating native Irish west of the Shannon or transporting them to the West Indies. Those who failed to comply were banished to America or other overseas locations, and those who returned were punished with death. Although soldiers were encouraged to kill the Irish people, the slave trade proved to be too profitable to ignore. As a result, 52,000 Irish were sold to Barbados and Virginia, and an additional 30,000 were taken prisoner and sold as slaves. In 1656, Cromwell's Council of State ordered the rounding up of 1,000 Irish girls and 1,000 Irish boys to be taken to Jamaica and sold as slaves to the English planters. The extent of the Irish slave trade was likely even greater, as little record was kept of this activity. The forced enslavement of the Irish people is a tragic and often overlooked part of history, which had a profound impact on the Irish and the American people. It is important to acknowledge and understand this history to work towards a more just and equitable future. It may come as a surprise to many that between 1600 and 1699, more Irish people were sold into slavery than Africans. In this period, many Irish men, women, and children were subjected to forced labor and exploitation, which had a significant impact on the Irish community and the history of slavery in America. While some Irish people entered into servant indentures, which were mutual agreements between a servant and their employer, many others were sold into slavery against their will. The indentured servants would sell a period of time in exchange for passage, and in return, they would receive housing, food, clothing, and sometimes a piece of land. However, slaves had no such rights or protections and were considered property that could be bought, sold, and traded at will. Sometimes slavery was not recorded as such or not recorded at all. Starting from 1625, the Irish were systematically sold with a single purpose, as slaves. Unlike indentured servants, they were not given a choice, protection, or mutual agreement. They were simply captured and handed over to shippers who would sell them for profit. The profits were enormous, as Irish slaves sold for as much as 900 pounds of cotton, which was a significant sum at that time. Everyone involved in the Irish slave trade made a profit, except for the slaves themselves. Interestingly, Irish and African slaves were often housed in the same facilities and were considered the property of the plantation owners. However, African slaves were generally valued higher and thus commanded a higher price. The cost of an African slave was around 20 to 50 pounds sterling, whereas Irish slaves were sold for only 900 pounds of cotton, which is approximately equivalent to 5 pounds sterling. Despite this, African slaves were often treated slightly better than Irish slaves.
So I can get about 5 for one, about 4 or 5 Irish for one African. Come on, man. Stop playing with folks. Anyone ain't no technology to do all that. That's why I was more slaves than it was masters. I don't know, man. They got doggone, well, the way they got it set up, well, they swear, well, that was indenture. Okay. Man, indenture lasts a lifetime. At least you got free room and board. Keep it rolling. It's supposed to be fair use. Hope I don't get flagged for it. Fair use, YouTube.
Indentured servitude was a prevalent practice in British North America until the late 18th century. It served as a way for impoverished Europeans to migrate to the American colonies.
Now, even though there were American Indian slaves, it was still more Irish than. That's a lot of people. Goodness. And I do got an Irish last name, so I know I tie into that part too. So let it roll.
These individuals would sign an indenture in exchange for passage to the colonies, after which they would work for a certain period, usually 5 years. The majority of indentured servants worked as farm laborers or domestic servants, while some of them apprenticed to be craftsmen. Indentured contracts were often sold by
From a lot of different flags. You got the French flag. You got the Spanish flag. You got. Okay.
shipmasters to employers in the colonies. The terms of these contracts were not always enforced by the American courts, although runaway servants were usually captured and returned to their employers. While most contracts were in increments of 5 years, some provided an opportunity to extend to an additional 5 years, and some even included a free passage home once the contracted labor was completed. However, there were no regulations governing employers' control over the indentured servants once their contracted labor was completed, which often led to mistreatment and abuse. Our 18th century newspaper collections, such as the Pennsylvania Gazette and the South Carolina Gazette, featured many advertisements for the sale of indentured contract and the recovery of runaway servants. During the 17th century, Irish people were often treated as slaves in British colonies in America and the Caribbean, being as these slaves were not necessarily purchased outright, but rather sold into indentured servitude for a set period of time in exchange for passage to the colonies, would be experiencing a different turn of the events. For like indentured servants, who were usually guaranteed release from their contracts upon a certain number of years, Irish slaves had no such guarantee of freedom and were often treated brutally. There were no legal protections for Irish slaves, and it was not considered a crime to kill them. In fact, Irish Catholics were not even considered Christians under the law.
I'm gonna break that part down. Now, when he say Irish Catholics weren't considered Christians, I'm gonna break that part down. That tying a whole lot about this whole white superiority mind frame. Keep it going.
So the protections that were extended to other slaves did not apply to them. The lack of legal protections made it easy for planters to abuse and exploit Irish slaves, and many were subjected to harsh punishments such as whipping and branding. One particularly cruel practice was the breeding of Irish women to produce more slaves. Children born to Irish slaves were also considered slaves, perpetuating the cycle of exploitation. In some cases, planters even bred Irish women with African men in order to produce slaves with lighter skin who could be sold for higher prices. The practice was eventually outlawed, but not out of concern for the well being of the slaves. Rather, slave traders saw it as competition and wanted to protect their own profits. The Irish slave trade continued for over 100 years, with fresh supplies of captives being transported to the colonies following the events of the Battle of the Boyne. It was not until 1839 that the British government passed a bill forbidding the transportation of Irish people as slaves, finally bringing an end to the practice.
From 1601 to 1839. That is 238 years of perpetual slavery. And some indentures. Some people got free. If you were probably Protestant, you would get free. You gotta sell that though. Can't just say it is, you got to sell it. Fair use.
The lives of slaves in the Americas were marked by extreme brutality, violence, and exploitation. Slaves were treated as property and denied basic human rights. They were subjected to beatings, rape, and murder, and forced to work long hours in harsh conditions. Despite this, many slaves organized and resisted their oppressors, often through acts of rebellion, sabotage, and escape. The abolition of slavery was a long and difficult process, marked by both successes and setbacks. In many cases, abolition was the result of a long and hard fought struggle by the enslaved people themselves, who organized and resisted their oppressors in a variety of ways. Abolition was also driven by social and political movements, such as the abolitionist movement in the United States, which sought an end to slavery and to promote the rights of all people.
Well, abolitionist movement, huh? That's just one half of it. So, Civil War, the abolitionist movement, whole lot of Irish people. Well, I got another video. It's how fair use it this time. Where they mess around and give me a strike. I don't need that. Oh shit. I guess I'll go with the other stuff real quick. Break something down. Never mind me. I do this a lot. Being my first time and all. Second time. All right. Let's break down this whole black thing. Since people want to act a fool about somebody calling them black. You gotta have a good reason. Oh, here we go. When it comes to the Naturalization Act of 1790, it was a law of the United States Congress that set the first uniform rules for the granting of United States citizenship by naturalization. No, they wasn't born here. The law limited naturalization to free white persons of good character, thus excluding Native Americans, indentured servants, enslaved people, free black people, and later Asians. Although free black people were allowed citizenship at the state level in many states. The courts also associated whiteness with Christianity and thus excluded Muslim immigrants from citizenship. And Congress modeled this act on the Plantation Act of 1740, which was the same thing as the 1790 Naturalization Act. That was officially titled An Act for Naturalizing Such Foreign Protestants and Others therein mentioned as are settled or shall settle in any of His Majesty's colonies in America. Keyword Protestants. Hmm. There you go. Background. Reflecting the situation in Britain, the necessary profession of Christian faith was distinctly Protestant and specifically Anglican. The act was not intended for conscientious. Damn, I don't even know that word. Conscientious. Whatever. I'm gonna get mad if I don't get the word right. Conscientious. Oh, conscientious. Damn. So took that out of the Roman Catholics, and they were referred to in the law as papists. Exceptions, however, for non-conforming religious scruples and conscience were made in the case of Quakers and Jews. Okay. Adherents of both faiths were allowed to dispense with the sacramental test, with the former being allowed to affirm the oaths and the latter being relieved of the obligation to repeat the words upon the true faith of a Christian at the end of the oath of abjuration required by the Act of Settlement since 1701. Okay. Makes sense to me. It's amazing. Now, the opposite of white is black. So therefore, all these Irish people, yeah, some probably was Protestant, but hey, can't tell. Just gonna throw you in there with everybody else. Because some of them did switch to Protestants. So that helped them out. But that 300,000 is a big number. Free black population. Yeah, it's a totally different thing. We got that settled. It's amazing how much you can learn just by looking up stuff. I like buying the books, but yeah, quick Google search solves a lot of things. And now, for Benjamin Franklin's observations concerning mankind. Since white has to be a race so bad, let's see what Benjamin Franklin has to say. Yeah, in his essay concerning the increase of mankind in 1751, that's when it had just started slavery in Georgia. So we can kind of guess who the slaves being brought, because it wasn't just Ireland. There's a whole lot of people got kicked out of England and Scotland. And it wasn't based on no skin color. So you might see white on your census. That don't mean that they are fair complexion or pale. Probably just meant, hey, that was their status. They probably made it through their indenture. They probably played the cards right and got up out of it. Because they had a bunch of them coming from England that they didn't want. And they sure wasn't going to give them that free white person status. They ain't trying to hear it. All right. What old Benjamin Franklin talking about? Because everybody like to just jump to what he said, but I mean, he was actually like trying to save some people, and he was a runaway himself. Come on, indentured. All right, these old famous quotes that everybody talks about, and he talked a lot on this speech. Goodness, I ain't know he put this much on here. Dang, it's hard to find. Yeah, Benjamin Franklin. Well, he was one of the people who founded the country, supposedly, or shit, that guy can he can really go in on some words. Goodness, Benjamin Franklin. And he didn't want no Africans coming. If anybody want to take the time out to read it, he didn't want Africans. Hell, they high maintenance. Seem like shoot. You can get you about 10 Irishmen for what? 2 Africans, man. Look, we don't need y'all. Well, we don't need them new ties, baby. Get some used ones. Yeah. We don't need them Jordans. Hit that boy up over there on the corner. Boy say they want $50 for them, I take them. But they look on over. They're gonna be nighttime. They ain't gonna see my feet anyway. All right. Now, Benjamin Franklin. The number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All Africa is black or tawny. Asia, chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion, as are the Germans also, the Saxons only excepted, who with the English make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. And he go on to ranting and raving. Yeah, that dude can write. Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red? But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. I don't know who he talking about. Cause when we start looking at these indentured servants lists, and they don't be talking about all of that he talking about. Cause you had dark, light, dark, light. Oh, the definition of fair complexion anyway, just to help people out. You got very fair, which is close to albinism. Highly sensitive to the sun. Stay out there too long, you start peeling. That's a lot of people. You know, you have to check people's genealogy. People can rant and rave about being white, 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 which ain't got nothing to do with skin color, but whatever. Type 2, this is the skin color they really, really look for. A fair skin type. People under this category have a fair or pale skin color. They often have freckles too. Their sun, their skin also burns and peels when they get sun exposure. These people very rarely tan and usually have blue, gray, or green eyes. Their natural hair color is typically blonde. That is so untrue. What that lady at? That little white lady that be saying stuff, always talking about brown eyes and green eyes and blue eyes and stuff. And she say it's more brown eyed people in the world than anybody else. And there's melanated people with blue, gray, or green eyes. I got a great granddaddy who had gray eyes, he was very much swarthy. Blonde hair ain't got nothing to do with that either. Yeah, what it is though. Let's see what old James Oglethorpe looked like. That is a fair-colored man. Let me see if I can flip another one of his pictures. Fair-colored guy, you. Yeah, he's very fair with brown hair. For people who don't know, people with freckles, that's melanocytes. That just means the melanin is popping out. And you can see a pale skinned person with freckles. Look at that guy. Just as fair as he want to be. He got a little bushy hair. It ain't straight. Anyway, I think I'll play another video. It excites me. I like when people talk about whiteness. Same old song. You gotta get down to the bottom of it. Now, how far have I made it into this? And did the naturalization? Alright, explain that. How white becomes black. What's up? I mean, the algorithm ain't even gonna give you half this stuff. The algorithm gonna play you. Algorithm don't want to hear none of that. And what you want to know, we not gonna tell you. If you don't look it up, we are not going to tell you. And folks will fight you on the internet. I just want to hear this guy tell his story because it sounds so good. I only gave the Irish side of the story. They're gonna beat us down with the Indian side and the African side and tell you who you ain't is. And here we go.
This is way.
This is fair use. Fair use.
Welcome back to Historical Context. Today we continue our Jamestown unit, and today we focus on the second part of our 1619 discussion. And today we talk about the origins of slavery, and we also talk about indentured servitude at Jamestown. And at precisely the same time as the House of Burgesses' first ever session was occurring, and you can go back to last week's episode to get the details of that, in August 1619, a ship was docking in Jamestown. And this Dutch ship carried slaves from the African continent.
That has never been proven to be accurate. And they changed the original historic sign because it said 20 and odd Negroes. As I'll show you later, Negro was used to describe a wide variety of people. Just ask the Irish. They got changed to black. But Go ahead, dude. Tell the story. Fair use.
There were approximately 17 men and 3 women aboard, and these Dutch had been involved in the slave trade with the Spanish in the Caribbean and in Florida for quite some time now.
And they also were kidnapping the Americans off of their land. This is way before the English even showed up. Thank you. Fair use.
But in this case, they were looking to trade for tobacco. So tobacco and its popularity out of Jamestown had brought the Dutch here with slaves. And so tobacco, while it is seen by historians as the cash crop utilized for slave labor, actually was the first form of currency used to purchase slave labor in Jamestown. And so without the tobacco, it's highly unlikely that the Dutch would have ever been incentivized to come to the colony. But before we get to that trade, we need to understand how labor worked in Jamestown up to this point. The colony found its calling with tobacco, but not nearly the people that were available to work the fields could produce it and harvest. The labor shortage created by the success of tobacco caused people in England to go so far as to abduct and ship people illegally from England to Virginia. So as we think about that for a moment, and we understand from our history classes what the slave trade was, and in a lot of cases the slave trade was the abduction and shipping of Africans to the American continent, and in this case we're talking about the abduction of English people in England being sent over to Jamestown.
He's still trying to convince people. Well, not him, but I guess that's what he learned or what he supposedly studied. Like, hey, they didn't just grab Africans, they also grabbed Europeans and sent them there. Like, yeah, man, come on now. Slick that hell to the side and get into this, man. Goodness, this is fair use.
In October of 1618, a complaint came to the Justice of the Peace in Somerset, England, involving an Owen Evans, who confessed to luring young women to be sent to Virginia and Bermuda. He was fined 10 shillings. Additional co-conspirators of Owen Evans were brought before the court, and that following month they were fined as well. In January of 1619, 100 impoverished children were clothed and sent to America for work, with the costs of their transportation levied as debt for their indentured servitude.
1619. That was January. Okay. Man, the Irish was already doing their thing in 1601. So, whatever. Fair use, man.
The historian who discovered the writing about this referred to it as the equivalent of rescuing American youth from the streets of large cities and securing them homes and employment. This historian, I believe, lived in the 19th century. It was also noted that in 1619 alone, 1,261 persons were sent to Jamestown to increase the population to 2,400. So think about that at the time. At the end of 1619, half of your population is brand new. Of those 1,261 persons, 90 were young women to be made wives, and 100 were boys for apprenticeships. 50 more were there as servants. John Porey, an English politician and writer, wrote about labor and the plantations in.
This dude just literally explained trafficking. That is human trafficking. But he'll explain the rest, though, what makes it human trafficking, but let him go ahead and get it out. Just listening to it is like, wow. So already, it ain't but 20 odd Negroes that's really been documented, only them 20. But in this same year, they already done dropped 100 on there and some more. Go on with it, man. Go ahead. Fair use.
1619. Let's have a look. All our riches for the present do consist in tobacco, wherein one man by his own labor hath in 1 year raised to himself the value of 200 sterling, and another by means of 6 servants hath cleared a crop of 1,000 pounds English. He goes on to say, our principal wealth, I should have said, consists in servants, but they are chargeable to be furnished with arms, apparel, and bedding, and for their transportation and casual, both at sea, and for their first year commonly at land also. But if they escape, they prove very hardy and sound, able men. So the importance there of Pori's second writing is talking about the essentially wealth that indentured servants brought to the colony, but that they also required an amount of maintenance, if you will.
He can't even believe it. He just read it like, yeah, they required a lot of maintenance. Man, look, you ain't getting no shoes. You gonna barely get these clothes. Man, look, you just gonna be here. You do what you gotta do, you might get let free. Cut that out, man. I mean, it is what it is. Them days, the struggle was real, but everybody was part of it. Our people had to be part of it too. We had to been done went through the same thing too. That's why all of us here today. So either way, it's just hard to believe to be living in a world where you think saying that you're white really makes you a great person, but like, hey man, everybody got their issue.
So let's, with all of that in mind, go back to this Dutch ship. Later in the month of August, this is after the House of Burgess has dismissed, a trade is completed with the Dutch for the 20 African slaves. John Rolfe is the only individual to record this transaction. These slaves essentially become the first African Americans in the modern day United States. Initially, these men and women are treated like indentured servants with a debt placed against them that they are required to work off. While historians have suggested that some of these slaves worked their way to freedom, becoming the first freed African Americans in the U.S., a census document from 1624 makes 2 important distinctions. First, the census taker notes 23 Negroes on the census, just 3 more than what arrived 5 years prior. While the mix of 12 men and 11 women were certainly different than the original 17-3 balance, it indicates that there was not a huge demand for slavery in those early years of the trade in Virginia. The second distinction is while these slaves may have been financially treated the same as indentured servants, they were certainly not considered equal. This is shown by their separate category in the census.
He talking about how 20 turned into 23. If they ain't documented no more coming, then hey, reproduction, ain't it? I got some spare women around. I mean, hey, come on, dude. You ain't that slow now. Fair use. I like his video though. Y'all should watch it. Indentured servitude and the origins of slavery at Jamestown. Like, wow. Go ahead. Fair use, dude.
The number of indentured servants was included in the population of 1,209. Now, you may be hearing that population number, 1,209, and thinking that's a lot smaller than the 2,400 he brought up earlier. There's a story behind that later. In fact, there was no separation of indentured servants in the census other than gender. So it was clear that African Americans, these first African Americans in Jamestown, had a separate distinction from indentured servants.
There is no description, but they got a separate indenture. Man, cut that out, man. Fair use.
For the indentured servants themselves, most of them were poor and illiterate. Therefore, their stories are essentially never told. There are a few exceptions, however. Richard Freethorn.
Did you just say these folks was illiterate? Man, if they illiterate, man, you could have scribbled on a piece of paper and just told them to sign it, man. Come on, bro. Oh my goodness. Illiterate. What do they call illiterate people? Because matter of fact, during like the 1800s, if you couldn't read or write, they'll throw you in an insane asylum. Wow. Matter of fact, they called you what? Like dumb or oh my goodness. They basically just X'd you out of society. It is what it is, man. Fair use.
An indentured servant at Martin's Plantation, and they were significant last week's episode, Martin's Plantation, did write a short letter to his parents in 1623. Let's have a look. A mouthful of bread for a penny loaf must serve for 4 men, which is most pitiful. You would be grieved if you did know as much as I do. When people cry out day and night, oh, that they were in England, without their limbs, and would not care to lose any limb to be in England again. Yea, though they beg from door to door.
Man, they had to cut Kunta Kinte foot off. These people is offering their feet. That's how bad it is. And they say a penny loaf for 4 people. And the African, since he getting treated better, he probably got a whole 2 slices with something in the middle of eating good. Man. And the lies people tell. I don't know, man. I might have to jump on the old African American train for a little while. At least I can say, hey, we were treated better in some cases. Man, cut this out. They're used, dude.
He goes on to say, for we came but 20 for the merchants, and they are half dead. Just, and we look every hour when 2 more should go. Yet there came some 4 other men yet to live with us, of which there is but 1 alive, and our lieutenant is dead, and also his father and his brother. So Freethorn's writing hints that indentured servants may have suffered the brunt of scarce resources and illness in Jamestown.
And abuse. Throw the abuse in, man. Stop acting like these people just had it made. Like, oh my God, it's the calm before the storm. Like, oh man, what? The struggle is real. No, like the abuse is real. Penny from good times. Yeah. Like, yeah, but they're going to burn you with the iron. Get over there and work. You ain't get nothing to eat. Man. And then I got some indentured servant stuff I'm going to show too, just to show who the people was running away. This he talking about 1619, but we done already seen the Irish done went through a whole 238 years And since he said 1619, so you had more Europeans coming too. So you can factor all that in. I'm not saying they was all pale skinned people now. I'm just saying. There's a lot of people from Europe. Then you gotta throw in the American Indians. Then you gotta throw in some Africans too. Allegedly. You know? Who else you got to throw in there? Shit. Everybody in there. Yeah.
For those early slaves,
Fair
and we
use.
don't know how long this goes on for yet, they came over without the ability to write, and they did not know the language. So sadly, their perspective was lost.
He said these people didn't know how to read or write and didn't know the language. Who was they indentured slave servants to then? If the same people that brought them from their country was supposed to be their boss, it don't make no sense. Because the Africans being treated fairly well, so I'm pretty sure they already know the language. I did read about the American Indians was the ones owning the plantation because there wasn't no hostile colonization takeover. They had to actually work out getting the little Virginia companies and all that they got. So if y'all already shipping y'all people over here and y'all barely got 10,000 acres, yeah, I can see they would be working for the Americans. Crazy. Any people couldn't read or write. They probably ain't even know what year it was. They probably just hanging on, just chilling. Like, yeah, okay, we're gonna try to make it. Mm-hmm. What today is? Don't even know. You could tell them any day. Hey, you can't read nothing. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. They he made it seem like these people the ones that be like drawing on the cave wall, just draw a little stick figure on the wall. Man, he said it. I just happened to comment on it. But it is what it is. Now, as we proceed, might as well. So hard working this computer. Let me go ahead and put some indentured servants on here. Let's see what we got. And what year this is. Oh, it's just basic internet stuff too. You can find it. You just go on there, type in indentured servant runaway ads, and it pops up. Boom. From the subscriber on the 12th, indentured boy by the name of Philip Burns. This is April 16, 1835. Now, remember they said Irish ain't, well, the British didn't say the Irish couldn't be free until 1839. So 1839 is when the British say, hey, we're going to stop shipping you as slaves. That ain't got nothing to do with America, who don't want to let the people go. He was taken from the Alms House, Boston, about 2 years since, is of Irish birth. Took no clothing besides what he had on. He's about 11 years old. Come on. He done ran away already. 11-year-old. Come on, man. Get right. Run away from the subscriber. Talbot County. 28th day of November. Indentured servant man who calls himself Charles Gibson. Now, they say African slaves got stripped of everything, didn't have a name and stuff. I know some Gibsons. I mean, hey. He's a dark mulatto, about 5'8" or 10 inches high, slender made with prominent lips, and supposed to be from 25 to 30 years of age. Oh, so let me keep reading that. He took with him 2 or 3 suits of clothes and a new drab colored great coat. Since I have had him, he has been principally employed in doing rough carpenter's work. It is supposed he has gone to his brother Christopher Gibson's, who it is said lives in the upper part of Caroline or on the edge of Queen Anne's country. Queen Anne, that's Virginia, that ain't it? That Maryland, yeah. Whoever will take up said runaway and deliver him to the goal in Easton in Talbot County, if taken in this county, shall receive $20, and if taken out of the county, $30. The farther away you go, the more you cost. Damn, he must did some good carpenter work. I got some carpenter, but that carpenter run through my whole family, bro. Man. Mm-mm. Run away from the subscriber, 1st of April. This is in South Salem, May 10th, 1832. Betsy Cundy, 12 or 13 years old. They don't even know how old these people is. They just snatching folks up. Oh, my goodness. Is it 12 or 13? I don't know. Hell, I just sad, man. Terrible. What are we going to do with each other? What is? Skulked and sneaked away from the subscriber on the night of June the 30th, an indentured apprentice, David Ferrer. Almost close to my name. Said boy is 18 years of age, tall, light complexion. What that is, light complexion. Down look, low spoken, wore and carried away with him one London smoke coat. Terrible. That's 1800. Springfield. An English servant on the plantation of Patapico Neck. An English servant named Francis Barrett. English, huh? Fair complexion, light brown or sandy hair, with curls, hazel eyes, has a fear of his nose and a mole on the right side of his chin, is slim made and a little knock-kneed, a carpenter and sawyer by trade, though no workman at either. Darn, he just called a man a bum. He has been a soldier, had on and took with him a new check shirt, one white ditto and stock, one pair of brown ribbed and a pair of white thread stockings. Oh, look. Another runaway. This is from Monron, 1803, October 14th. Ran away from the subscriber on the 15th. An indentured servant boy, about 15 years old, by the name of Thomas Butler. A well-grown lad, dark complexion, black eyes, and well-dressed. All persons are cautioned against trusting or harboring him on my account. Jesse Ives Jr. Runaway, November 8th, 1803. Noah Bellamy. These people got first and last names. Why? Because they already had them when they got there. You snatch somebody out of their country. You snatch an African up, they can't tell you no name. They just give them a name. It's Toby, Kunta, Olu, Mutombo. Like, come on, man. That ain't sound right. All right, what we got? Living at Benedict on the 2nd of February. An Irish servant. Oh, he's an hired Irish servant, man. Okay, named Patrick Smith, about 5 feet 4 inches high and pretty thick set. Okay. It's not bad. He was hired. They don't get no description on, but he was hired. I don't really believe that, but yeah, what it is. ran away on the 21st of April, living in the borough of Lancaster, an apprentice lad named William Kinley, about 15 years of age, of a fresh complexion, and has brown hair. Had on when he went away a felt hat, half worn bearskin coat. Well, rocking the bearskin out there. Wait, boy, in April? Ooh. Well, it ain't really warm in April like that. But you get away with a bearskin in April now. But if it was like June or July, boy, stop, you'd have fell out. Mm-mm-mm. You passed that Mason-Dixon line too, boy, that sun hit harder down there. Mm-mm-mm. Wow, I gotta finish reading that too. He wore he wore worsted stockings and good shoes. Whoever takes up and secures said apprentice so that his master may have him again shall have 40 shillings reward and reasonable charges paid by William Dunlap. Hmm. NB. What? It is supposed he is sent off by his father, Daniel Kinley, schoolmaster in Lancaster, to his grandfather, something Wells, in Baltimore County, Maryland, and is harbored by him or someone of that family. Oh, so his daddy tried to save him. His daddy was like, look, Sean, I'll tell you which way to run to. Just get there. Your granddaddy up there, you need to get to him, boy. Goodness. Because in Baltimore County, that's where the free blacks were. Hmm. Wow. That's why they kept talking about these free black population. That was a bunch of Europeans running, and they just happened to be in black status. They wasn't dark skinned and stuff. They was just their status was black. They just said what? Let me click on the Naturalization Act again. What? Where we at with this naturalization? Crap, man. This is just terrible, man. Naturalization Act. Free white persons of good character, thus excluding American Indians. Because wasn't nobody even doing nothing over there on the west side like that. Like, this is the South thing. The South and the North. Like, it was the colonizing going on. I'm not Native Americans. Okay. They were calling people Indians on this side of town, all in the South and stuff. And whatever other name it was they was giving them, and it sure wasn't Native Americans, but whatever. Indentured servants could not be free white persons. Enslaved people, free black people, and Asians, and Muslims. So that's a handful of people. That's what Benjamin Franklin was talking about. The principal body of white people is very small because America is fully populated with people. And they just shipped off the majority of the people in their countries. Wow, that is so crazy. But it wasn't no color thing though. It was just people. And people weren't like, man, please. I live in this beautiful city of Augusta, and I can guarantee you, people are people. Like they don't care what you look like. You know what I'm saying? I done seen some poor white folks, and I done seen some poor black folks, and they be hanging together. When you poor, you don't really care about all that stuff, man. You just want to make it to the next day or whatever it is. The way they set it up, boy, they made it like, well, we just took over the whole world. No, ain't no way. You can say what you want, but that ain't the way it happened. Because just to show us, the main thing is looking up your genealogy. I told one of my partners that, telling him like, man, this stuff is part of something deeper than skin color. Because looking at what they did to the Irish people, they did this based on them just rolling with Catholic folks. And most Catholic folks was what? The Spanish, they were Catholic. A lot of the French was Catholics. Come on, man. Matter of fact, go to the news. to the new naturalization law, the one that they created after 1871. That's just 1790. And we're going to get to the one. Matter of fact, I can make that joint pop up on here too. Let me see if they got the one, the 1870. Since people don't understand why they calling us black and African American and stuff. Well, that's part of it because a lot of us got family that was part of the free black. And a lot of us, you know what I'm saying, got that American Indian in us. So no way are we going to be considered citizens anyway. But we state citizens now. That's how that works. Because, matter of fact, if you get a chance to, you know, I feel like I'm talking to one of my partners right now. Either way, people really should. Or I'll type it in though. Free people of color in Augusta, Georgia. And that opens up a whole new thing. Because the federal census was every 10 years, but the state census was like every 2, every 4, or however many years. Whenever they felt like they need to keep an eye on folks, really. But, yeah. Matter of fact, I'm going to throw it in there. Shoot, I ain't got nothing better to do. I ain't going nowhere. It's raining anyway. Shit, the way they ain't ever, the starter acting on it, the dude acting on that video, shoot. Well, look, his mouth was weak. You stay inside. But it's like man, the Hot Boy CD Tuesdays and Thursdays, you gotta watch for the beast, but dude out there wilding, but I better calm down. And it's crazy because her dude, if she had a boyfriend, now some people get dropped off at work. You know what I'm saying? It probably ain't went down like that. Or it probably been worse than that, because if you'd have had a man in the car with her and shit, never know what would have happened. It probably been a whole escalated situation, or even if she would have jumped out. But hell, that's from what I know, shit, that's her job. She going to work, and whatever words got exchanged, she wanted to record that part of it. But like, man, come on, y'all, explain this stuff to folks, man. It's crazy. People really gotta understand, man. White is just a skin color, man. And you look at what all this stuff is based on. Hell, you can be white too. Anybody can be white. Doesn't matter. Shit, you want to be, just be it. Go get your status changed. There ain't no way all this slavery and crazy stuff was happening all these years, and all of a sudden, all these colored folks has got money and stuff. Then you got people passing for white. Then you got the old secret handshake groups and stuff. You know, like, come on, man. You gotta look past all that stuff. Yeah, it's just the growing up part of life. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. Oh, here we go. The Treaty of Dancer Rabbit, which the U.S. Congress ratified in 1831, allowed those Choctaw Indians who chose to remain in Mississippi to gain recognition as U.S. citizens, the first major non-European ethnic group to become entitled to U.S. citizenship. That's 1831. So anybody who lived in Mississippi, like literally, come on, man. What these African people at? They trying the same people, the African American. They just said they just went and talked to these Choctaws and was like, "Hey, do y'all mind being citizens?" I'm like, oh, whatever. Next thing you know, but y'all black, y'all African, but cut it out. Oh, Google search is so amazing. I'm still gonna get to the Naturalization Act of 1870. Records of the free people of color. And this breaks down a whole lot. Names and birth certificates. all kind of stuff. They try to throw that old Gullah Geechee stuff in there, which don't work. Look on my website. Now this is in Augusta. This is in 1863, which I got the hard copy too. Hell, I got the Free People of Color books for every county in Georgia. And Georgia got the most counties on the East Coast per state. Yeah, the most counties in a state. How these counties come about is wild. You got all these free people of color. Bearfield, Beale, Benning, Bonnier, Bowers, Brister, Brooks, Burnett, Bird, Campbell, Carnes, Chavins, Clark, Coleman, Collins, Dent. You know about Dent? That's Dent Funeral Home. Yeah, got the Dent family. We got Frazier, free person of color. Frazier is a German last name. A lot of German people moved to Georgia. Green, Griffin, Grubbs, Harmon, Harper, Hill, Holmes, Houston, Hoxie, Johnson, Keaton, Kelly. Kelly is an Irish name. Now, the definition for free people of color is. Ooh, I gotta look that up too. But once I get to the 1870 thing, it'll be all right. A lot of Kellys. I know a whole bunch of Kellys too. There's Kellys all out of Burke County. I heard some stories about. I went to school with some Kellys. Got the King family. Lamar. Let. We got Lamar. We got Lamar Elementary School too. Lewis, Lloyd, Lyons, Maxwell, Moore, Osmond, Nunes, Parker, Payne, Pleasance. There's somebody last name Poison. Jane Poison. Oh goodness. Now these black and mulatto people, but okay. Some of that free black population. And all them people who served out their indentures, some of them are Indians. Ruff, Reynolds, Russell, Scott, Sybil, Mary Jane Sybil, mulatto. And all these people had jobs or occupations, they had skills. None of them owned slaves, whatever, allegedly. You got Todd, Walker, William, Youngblood, whole bunch of Youngblood people. And when you get like a whole bunch of people living in one house together, and then, oh man, somebody do need to look this up though, if y'all want to. I done looked through it so many times. I'm tired looking at it. But you can browse the subjects and stuff. Not that subject. You can search by name. They don't really give you many people, but you can actually search different stuff. Browse the little subjects. Type in states and things. They had like court cases on here and people who were owning people and stuff. And trying to free each other. They had people of color actually paying to free their loved ones. Yeah, they was freeing folks too. Amazing. I like that. No, it wasn't just no like race, man. That's like playing that superiority game. Just some stuff. It's the way life was going. Got the Naturalization Act. Now, Naturalization Act would explain the Civil War, but hey, that takes a while to solve because it can go any way. Oh, I know what it was. Matter of fact. Matter of fact. Which I still got this white slavery. The rule of the Roman slave code, the child follows the condition of the mother, is universally adopted in the southern states. If the mother be a slave, the child is one also. Notwithstanding, the father is a free man. The effect of this rule is to enslave all the issue in the maternal line to the remotest generation. The father in each generation may be a free white person, so that not the slightest tinge of Negro blood nor the faintest trace of Negro feature may be visible. And yet, the unfortunate being whose remote maternal ancestor was a Negro is doomed to as hopeless a slavery as that ancestor ever was. Okay, free white person. Let me break this down. These are the Jacobites from 1745. These are people who got kicked out of England. They were trying to help. Who was on his wars? King James II, who had then turned into a Catholic and flipped out and thought he was going to establish his rule. Didn't work like that. Well, you ain't learned from them Irish getting kicked out being Catholic, and you want to be a Catholic. Okay, you get the business too. Well, all these people get kicked out. And on that boat, there were some Swarths. Swarthy. I got this book too. I don't know. I ain't PDF none of this stuff. I like to keep my books and hold on to them. Just so happen you can find some of this stuff on the internet too. But now these are the people who were with the king, so they part of the nobility. All these Jacobite people got sent to Jamaica, Maryland, Virginia, Barbados, Leeward Islands, all of this. But the way the law works, if people been paying attention to what's going on with Donald Trump, talking about, oh man, he got 136 counts and all that. But guess what? Well, them just counts. If you ain't convicted, it don't matter. And what's gonna happen with these people? I don't care who plantation you send these folks to. These people are royalty. They probably ain't even have to do no indentured servitude, or they probably weren't even enslaved, because they part of the Stuart dynasty, and the Stuarts been fighting with each other. Yeah. Like all these people, some kin: English king, French, Spanish, Irish, Scottish, German, Dutch. All these people family members, one way or another. Yeah, some of them ancestrally they is some kin. Either way, a lot of us got these people last names, and the way it's looking, that's where this black come from. Okay. Now, on this boat, let's see. An exact list and description of 150 rebel prisoners shipped at Liverpool on board the veteran John Rickey, master for the Leeward Islands, which were taken near Antigua, the 28th June, by the diamond privateer Paul Marcel, commander, and carried into Martinico, the 30th of June, 1747. Yeah. And then a description follows of the 150 rebels, which Mr. Smith took at Lincoln, York, and Lancaster prisons in October 1746. The name, age, profession, county, and stature of each, with remarks, were given in every case. Of the 150, 15 were women, and 3 of those Camerons from Lochaber was Barbara Connell, 19, Pershire, and she was thus described: red hair, clever. Number 143, Margaret Dykes, 22, no occupation, Lithgow, is singled out for the distinction of being well looking. Number 57, Isabel Hamilton. She's 50. Comes from Musselburgh. Fortunately, all of them could sew, spin, and knit. Useful qualifications for female colonists. Shoot, sound like they're riding for the cause too. Probably some little side too. Like, I don't mind. Never know. All right. These are prisoners, royal prisoners, which is the trip part. But guess who they are? You got Robert Adam Brown, William Bell Black, Douglas Campbell Brown, Alex Kadernack Black, Alex Campbell, John Campbell. Oh, we got a couple family members on there. All that. Ditto Brown, William Dickinson, red hair, healthy. At least he was healthy. Yeah, Alex Davidson, ruddy. Ruddy is just reddish brown. Andrew Edwards, black. All right, look like most of these people brown and black. But we do got a thin, pale, and sickly man, Duncan McPherson. Well, yeah, one pale person. That helps. Yeah. So we know most of these people gonna be brown and black and stuff. Oh, we got another one. We got another. Nope. Hold on. He's brown, pale, slender. He might be dehydrated. Yeah, he's brown, but he look pale. Probably had no water now. But either way, it say pale. You got another James Lamb. He's fair, slender. John Livesey, pale. Most of all these people are dark brown, dark brown. Riding with the Stewart squad, James II. Come on, man. You know what white? What that white mean to y'all? But they got the black title because they was rolling with the Catholic faith, so they got to be called black so they can fall into the free black population. Yes, that's how that works. Yeah. Because it's never been a problem just living. You can go day to day, don't nobody really bother you, so it just few people just feel like that's gonna really, really just spark a nerve, or they just been holding on to that, wanting to say it. Oh, we got a James Ross. Oh, them old Rosses. Pale hair, sickly. You got pale hair. How old is this guy? He 20? 20 with pale hair. He probably okay. James Mann, pale complexion, well made. He's a baker though. All these people coming out of England and Scotland. You got Murray County. It is literally a bunch of people with the last name Murray, and it's a county in Scotland named Murray. Wow. That don't ring a bell to some people, I guess. You see a lot of people with white status on these census records. People automatically think, oh my goodness, these white people were slave masters. But when you look at who all these people were that were slaves, you see it was a mixture of variety. So when you call somebody a mulatto, there could be two Irish people, two people out of Ireland that made babies together. Baby just light skin. Just like they talking about, oh, black Irish, black Irish. No, ain't no such thing as no black Irish. Either you is or you ain't. Shit. They ain't trying to put a they trying to put a description on you because black means dead in law. So when they throw that black on you, man, you gotta rebuke that, man. Let these folk play with you like that. Now, shit, tell them you white. Shit, I'm white. I told my guys at the job, I said, boy, look here, boy. I'm about to be white too. If you Negroes, I'm going over to the white side. I got mixed kids anyway. Shit. It's amazing how DNA works. Shoot. We all human, man. It's a human experience. Don't waste your life over here being deceived by all these movements and these people running that game on people. Mm-hmm. That check be calling. Yep. Look at this. Ran away 13th of April last from the described subscriber. Living near Bladensburg in Prince George's County. You know Prince George is in what? Maryland? Virginia? Ain't they was shipping all them Irish and English and Scottish people too that was running away? I'm gonna show you where they ran to. Some of them ran north. That's how you get that big population of Irish people in Boston, which hell, that's after the Civil War. A lot of them went there too. You know, they say that ain't a place you want to go as a melanated person. But I know people who from there though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think you gotta have a few dollars. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, gangs of New York type stuff up there. I don't know, I ain't never been. I passed through it. A servant man named Nathaniel Sherlin from Prince George's County, but may probably change his name. By trade, a carpenter and joiner, a well set, clean limbed man, about 5 feet 10 inches high, of a swarthy complexion, has black eyes and a fly look. He has taken many clothes with him, both men and women's. Man, dude got to dress up like a woman just to try to get away. Man, this is ridiculous, man. Some people do it for fun. This man doing it on the run. Shit. Hell, come on, man. Some new linen and money. At least he had a few dollars to eat with. A blanket and course sheet. Also some carpenters and joiners tools, such as chisels, saws, broad axe, a smoothing plane, and a large man's saddle and bridle. But as no horse is missing, it is supposed he had some companion to help him to one. Well, bruh struck out with everything. He done either them with his tools or he done stole your tools. Bruh say, what? Well, look, you got me working for these pennies. Well, look, I'm gonna take all them. I'm gonna start my own business. Now that's how you go independent. Take the tools with you. That's what's up. That is what's up. That's how you make a run for it. Now, on the 30th, October 30th, 1768, man, servant man named John Sias, a shoemaker by trade, 5 feet 4 inches high, fair complexion, about 22 years of age, born in Chester, but lives 10 or 12 years in London. And they snatched him up out of London. And speaks very good English. Had on and took with him a, a Dawlish shirt, one Osnabrück ditto, one pair of dark striped Holland trousers, and one pair of Osnabrück ditto. A snuff colored brown cloth coat and waistcoat. The coat lined with green, pretty much worn. One pair of new gray stockings, country made, and one pair of new pumps with a good hat and an old wig. It is supposed that one William Blanche is gone with him, who belongs to Mr. Francis Baker. But he is snitch and he trying to get all that, said Sias. When he works, hold his 4 fingers of his right hand straight out, occasioned by a cut. Whoever takes up said servant and secures him in any jail so as the owner may get him again shall have 40 shillings reward. Man, either this person is some kin to you or like your child or something, or you really been staring at this person like from head to toe working for you to be able to describe all of that. That is like goodness, man. And you watching him work or you working next to him? Oh, y'all cool. You can't be cool. He done ran away. You must want paying enough. Probably beating the man every time he asks you for more stuff like that. Terrible, man. Terrible. And we all was in this together. Let these people tell it, but it was indentured service and left. And yeah, we served ours. Well, if that the case, it wouldn't have been no civil war, and they wouldn't have been throwing slavery all in the mix of it, because they really just wanted people to be free labor. Well, labor that get paid a little bit. Oh, this was wild. 1766, September 15th, in Baltimore County, Maryland, two convict servant men, Stephen Payne, an Englishman, a shoemaker by trade, about 5'8" or 9" high, about 24 years of age, swarthy complexion, much pitted with the smallpox, short, straight black hair, has gray eyes, and looks very bold, much knock-kneed. One of his great toes has lately been cut with an axe and is now sore, had on and took with him an old cotton jacket. That is crazy. Dude, toe missing. Two Osnabrück shirts, country linen trousers, felt hat, old shoes with a piece cut out against his sore toe. A red cowskin knapsack with the hair outside and has some shoemaker's tools in it. My dude actually fixed it so he ain't gonna be able to run. That's what I'm talking about. Do what you gotta do, man, so you can get away. Like Maryland was a spot. Washington D.C. was a spot for all these free black folk too. A lot of folk were running away, blending in. That how you get that free black population. John Garraby, an Irish man, and has much of the brogue, about 5'2", 24 years old, swarthy, short, straight, black hair, black eyes, look very swift, fierce. Come on, man. You got black and white folk. Well, the people that we call black and white today, everybody was going through it. If you weren't part of that class of people, then that's what it was. See what that class of people look like out in Jacobite. What else you had? You had the French nobility, they royalty and all that. Like all these people is all over the world. They had a bunch of kids. Yeah. Seen King George had what, 17 kids? And like what, 15 on live? Shoot. You had 15 kids plus. If all your kids have two, that's 30 more royalties who might be down for the same cause to do some crazy stuff. Shoot. Mm-mm-mm. It's sad. They snatching up people when they young too. Caleb the Hadaway, 17 years old. He was in what? Milford, Kent County, in the state of Delaware. But they all in Delaware. Yeah. That's how they try to call people African American. Everybody dark skin. A whole lot of dark skin folk. Two Irish. Maurice Croney. Jeremiah Harrington. I'd read that one. Mm-hmm. So that how the lie keep going. Okay, MBH's of a ruddy complexion, middle stature, wears his own hair of a sandy color, aged about 45 years old. Yeah, run it up. I don't want to see no more. It's sad, man. Hurt my feelings. Goodness. I'm just go ahead and go to this 1870 Act. Because our white folks is totally different from these white folks who come after the 1870s. Because it's like, how many people came over here, them immigrants? A lot of them. You got the people that was already in America trying to get their life together after this slavery and everybody broke free. Then you got this Naturalization Act that was amended from 1790. And where is it? So it can break down. Oh, no. That Naturalization Act ain't even going to really show nothing. You got to go to this. You got to come with this right here. Free white persons in law. Free white persons, Black's Law Dictionary to help people out. And it's free online. Baby just crying in there. Oh my goodness. My folk gonna cut me out by that too. Why you gonna get that back? And everything pop up on my phone. It's so hard to do it on this. Oh, who that is? You talking about whiteness? Yes, you're white. You wasn't born in America, and you don't have no history of indentured servitude and white and stuff. Get out of here with that. Where my stuff at, man? And here is more, Zach. I guess we got to read it then. There we go. Oh my goodness. Free white persons, referred to in Naturalization Act as amended by July 14th, 1870, has meaning naturally given to it when first used in Statute 103. Oh, 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 oh. Just for clearances. Oh, this was it. What did I say? One stat 103 amended. One stat 103. Meaning all persons belonging to the European races, then commonly counted as white, and their descendants, including such descendants in other countries to which they have immigrated. Now, from 1790 to 1870, well, that is 80 years. All these people that's been getting drugged through the mud, they just bring over all the immigrants. And guess what they get? Free white status. It includes all European Jews, which that was from 1790 anyway, it didn't matter. More or less intermixed with peoples of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. It includes Magyars, Lapps, and Finns, and the Basque and Albanians. It included the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal. The mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia. It does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, or Indo-European races, nor the mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, Semitic, Mongolian people who inhabit Persia. A Syrian or of Asiatic birth and descent will not be entitled to become a naturalized citizen of the United States as being a free white person. Wow. Man, I need a world map for that. Good God. They just took all them people that they done brought over here and just gave them the white status. I don't know why you see so many poor people around. Because they ain't give the people an opportunity to actually pick themselves up after slavery. It was all a game. And they ain't want majority of people that know what's going on, they get them out the way. Get them the big head, tell them, oh man, you're okay. Just go about your business. Don't make no sense. People would be ashamed. Ashamed. Well, that pretty much kicked it off for me. Oh, I am in Augusta. Remember I showed the clip of, well, from my first video anyway. So hard to read all this stuff. But where was it? Savannah Town. Now these Chickasaw helped out. And eventually they end up in New Savannah Town, which is this area right here along the Butler Creek area. And what I read is Butler Creek, well, the inlet to Butler Creek off the Savannah River is, which caught me off guard because I done been to this place a couple times and didn't realize it when I was there, that New Savannah Town is actually the locking dam. That's what New Savannah Town is. So that is the old Chickasaw stomping ground. Probably been a few houses and everything under there. Never know. Anywho. Oh, I ain't finished beating it down some more. Let me find one more thing. Man, my baby made some good ass subs, man. Hey, you gonna make some more subs, baby? It's all good. Hook me up, please. I'll buy you something. You wanna get your feet done? You know, his feet done, make me another sandwich. I pay your rent. All right. So the Roman slave code. I read some of it, but yeah, the mother's supposed to, the child got the status of the mama. The mixed races are generally called mulattoes or persons of color. But in the West Indies, names are given to the different degrees of the mixed races, expressive of their distance from the original stock. Our ancestor is in each generation being a white person. The child of the Negro is called a mulatto. Of the mulatto, a tesseron. Of the tesseron, a quateron. And the child of the latter is called a quinteron. Well, they usually put the on it, but on, whatever. This is the last gradation, there being no visible difference between them and the whites, either in color or features. They are indeed often fairer than the Spaniards. It sounds like a setup. It sounds like all these people that was the dark-skinned nobility just hatched the plan to say, hey, since everybody know what we look like, we're going to have to make ourselves white, man. We have to make ourselves like lighter so they won't pay attention to us. Because, I mean, if the so-called white people are actually like dark skinned, then who are they trying to change into? Who are they trying to breed out? Who knows? Which is the amazing part of it. Mm-mm-mm. Now, when the blood is reduced to one below 1/8, or below 1/8, the jury ought always to find the party white. And we know that tesserons frequently pass for whites. So little real difference is there between them and white persons, either in color or feature. The laws of Virginia, Kentucky, Missouri, and Arkansas apparently rate as white all the mixed issue below tesserons. Below quadroons are apparently so considered in Tennessee. South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas. But in North Carolina, not even the fourth generation is so rated. Persons of mixed blood of every degree are prima facie presumed to be free in Delaware, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Louisiana, and probably in some other states. The contrary presumption, except as to persons apparently white. That's it right there. Obtains in Virginia, Kentucky, and in South Carolina. In Missouri and Arkansas, a mulatto who is held as a slave must prove his right to freedom. But in all the states, a presumption of freedom undoubtedly attaches in favor of those who are to be legally classed or rated as whites, though held as slaves. So you can look white, but you got to prove that you're white. Mm-hmm. Ain't that something? Let's get it. My God. And then they come with all their laws about who is who. So, from the Republican Banner and Nashville Whig, July 14th, 1849. Ran away from the subscriber, a bright mulatto woman named Julia, about 25 years of age. She is of common size, nearly white, and very likely. She is a good seamstress and can read a little. She may attempt to pass for white. Dresses fine, she took with her Anna, her child, 8 or 9 years old, and considerably darker than her mother. She once belonged to a Mr. Helm of Columbia, Tennessee. This is ridiculous. Try to tell you that. Man, this is wild. It'll be all right, boy. I need to feel like my baby keep crying. $500 reward. Ran away from the subscriber on the 25th of May. A very bright mulatto boy, about 21, 22, named Wash. Said boy, without close observation, might pass himself for a white man, as he is very bright, has sandy hair, blue eyes, and a fine set of teeth. Although he is like a white man in appearance, he has the disposition of a Negro and delights in comic songs and witty expressions. He is an excellent house servant, very handy about a hotel, tall, slender, and has rather a down look, especially when spoken to. Oh my goodness. Chattanooga. 1852. From the New Bern, North Carolina Spectator. $500 reward. Following slaves to be delivered. Samuel and Judy. And that's his wife with their 4 children belonging to this estate of Sacker Dubberly. So somebody owned these folks outright. No tax on them. I will give $10 for the apprehension of William Dubberly, a slave belonging to the estate. William is about 19 years old, quite white, and would not readily be taken for a slave. Wow. It's 1837. Ran away from the subscriber working on the plantation of Colonel H. Tinker, a bright mulatto boy named Alfred. About 18, pretty well grown, has blue eyes, light flaxen hair, skin deposed to freckle. He would try to pass as freeborn. S.G. Stewart, one of them Stewarts. Amazing. $100 reward. Bright mulatto man slave Sam. Light sandy hair, blue eyes, ruddy complexion. Is so white as very easily to pass for a free white man. Ruddy is not pale skin. Anywho, ran away on the 15th of May from me. A Negro woman named Fanny. She 20 years old, rather tall, can read and write. That's a good thing. And so forged passes for herself. Ooh, y'all were doing that fraud. Running. Ooh, she doing that fraud. Sign that. Shout out that paperwork you read off of the plug. She is as white as most white women with straight light hair and blue eyes and can pass herself for a white woman. He want 500 for her, but she must be really special. Mm-mm-mm. $25 reward. Ran away from the plantation of Madame Fergus Duplantier. It's them French folks down in Louisiana. That's what they said, Louisiana, Picayune. Mm-hmm. 1846. A bright mulatto named Ned. Speaks English and French. 35 years old, waddled in his walk. He might try to pass himself for a white man as he is of a very clear color and has sandy hair. Mm-mm. A white Negro man. And this how they keep them slaves. They call him a Negro, so that kind of confuses the folks. Because if you're a Negro, you're automatically a slave. Same thing they did with Indian folks. Matter of fact, throw that in there. Just to be clear, cut, and precise. American Indian slavery. American Indian slavery in Carolina. It's just a quick little package, just stuff you can type up. American Indians. By the late 18th century, as the number of African arrivals outnumbered enslaved American Indians, the census stopped differentiating between African and American Indian slaves, and Negro increasingly became synonymous with slave in the Low Country. Yeah, can't really believe that anymore. They say, what, in the late 18th century? What? Ain't that what we were just looking at all them indentured servant ads from like the 1760s, 70s, 80s, 1800s? They were calling these people Negro slaves. And he just said the Irish people been slaves and they far outnumbered the Africans. Oh, man, please. And even in the Yamasee War, they beat the Europeans up so bad that they stopped trying to kidnap the Indians. They basically just say, hey, if you decide you want to throw away a few Indians, we'll take some here or there. But they still kidnapping them though. But all of that is terrible, man. Slavery was horrible. There's no words for it no more. All right. Ran away. A white Negro man, about 35 years old, height about 5 feet 8 or 10 inches, blue eyes, has a yellow woolly head, very scared, fair skin. Said Negro man was raised in Columbia, South Carolina, and well known by the name of Dick Frazier. Frazier. Those Frazier from Carolina. He was lately known to be working on the railroad in Alabama near Moore's Turnout and passed as a white man by the name of Jesse Teams. And he plans to escape out. I'm going to say, I am what you say I am until I get off this plantation. I'm changing my name, man. Goodness. 1848. Bright mulatto girl, Mary, 25 years of age, almost white, reddish hair, front teeth out, cut on the upper lip, about 5 feet 5 inches high, has a scar on her forehead. She passes for free. Talks French, Italian, Dutch, English, and Spanish. Goodness. She was in New Orleans. It's probably that picture of them white slaves that they always show of them people in New Orleans. Some on light skin, some on dark skin. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. New Orleans. Maria with a clear white complexion. Mm-hmm. And they got Emily Brown. It's terrible. It is what it is. I better just fit me a sandwich. I'm gonna tear it up too. Thank you. I know I'm welcome. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I did almost 2 hours. I got anything else to make it a whole 2 hours? I don't think so. But it was fun while it lasted. Yes, yes, yes. And I get to just click on the internet and just look at stuff while I'm going. Yeah. Mm-hmm. These folks on here chasing folk down. Well, it's my little bid for the night. Hang out with my little baby. My little baby. He a mulatto. Look at my little mulatto. I'm sorry, I'm just playing, man. You do got some like green eyes, though. Green eyes, boy. Keep them ladies off you. Just saying, man. All that racism stuff. It don't really work. Some people it do, but there you have it, man. We all on this earth together. Ain't much you can do besides see people. You got a problem, somebody. You need to go ahead and get by yourself or figure out what's wrong with you. But either way, you'll be all right. I'm out.